So, one of the things that I had to figure out was death and life are in the power of the tongue. And, it's interesting because over the past, um, couple of years, like, I've really went to war and a battle for certain people. And it seems as if, the same people that I fought against for them, that they're, readily trying to validate or whatever. And then trying to become accustomed to the whole crossfire of information, like the new wave of sharing things, posting things directly to your business page or whatever page you're on, and that's how you communicate with people. And to me, it's very indirect because at the end of the day, in order to not look a certain way, you can easily say that your message is geared towards a particular people, person, or whatever. But it's just confusing not to have any direct thing or, putting a name on it. And so, I know when I say things that things carry weight and people know who I'm talking about. And, because those things carry weight, um, little things that I may say, even mistakes that I may make in saying things about people, they get taken way harder. And so, I've had to learn to be wise with my words. And so I don't tend to say things that I don't mean. And if I do, I am extremely apologetic because one of the things that God does with me when I do anything wrong, um, I check myself, and that has been one of my biggest trials in recent years. When I was younger, it was a whole lot easier to um, overcome certain things, just let things roll off. But the more I experienced certain things with heartbreak and different things like that, it became harder. And I believe one of the tests to get to wherever God has taken me now has been to overcome my emotions, maintain my reactions, and get back to my child self to where, I'm not easily offended by certain things. Um, I can learn from things, and, just any situation, which I haven't lost that necessarily, but sometimes being blinded by certain scenarios within a situation, it can, either delay your learning process, or it could throw you off from what the whole point of you going through that thing was in the first place. And sometimes it takes you know a later time in life to figure it out, or you going through and replaying that moment. But I'm glad I had to do those things. um, but it's been very hard because at times the different things that I say, um, it's being minced by different people. People can take and say what they want instead of putting a name on it, and then I'll be glad glad enough to address them how I see fit, or at least how I'm led, because I'm just not going to be disrespectful. But I believe is, if you're saying somebody meant something or they said something that they didn't say, or you're telling people that and they never said those things, like you're trying to damage a person's reputation for whatever reason. Uh, just like there was a scenario that I gave out with um, the ex person I was with, that they had told their sister that if anything was to happen to them, that it was me. And that made me feel some type of way because I never in my life put my hands on a woman. And we even got into an altercation within a relationship to where she swore up and down that I did hit her. And just asking recently, I just, was able to ask this question. And they said, no, I never said that you hit me. But I actually go through these things. I actually experience these things. And people, while it may seem like it's nothing to just say certain things or to make it seem like certain things, uh, like people don't know the damage that they do. Some people do, and some people don't care about the damage that they cause. And so, for me, like I've had to differentiate, between those people who is helping, and like I said, who is around genuinely, like, because you have to understand that, um, sometimes people are not going to look how they seem that is meant to be around you, and that's including, your help. Like I expressed a couple of weeks ago where I seen a homeless guy, um, and it's just I I did help him out, but it was just a handshake, and then just it was some things that happened that I'm just like that was a little out of the ordinary. Along with and this isn't just to keep bringing up that situation because things like that happen for me all the time with different people talking to me, having a word of the Lord for me. Whether I went back to church when I was younger and a pastor, like, you behaving or misbehaving. It was like somebody always was communicating to God about me and for me. And so, um, you know, not necessarily being exposed to those people recently or not seeming like I have with people who were advocating on my behalf and different things. And, um, just because of everything that's online, it's a lot. It's a lot of information to take in. It's a lot of information to discern. People don't put a name on it, and I believe that helps more than anything because if you put a name on it, then you can either be called a liar or, the person gets exposed. But just the indirect stuff is caused a lot of warfare and a lot of strays have been taken in many different scenarios from different people that probably shouldn't have been taken because of all of the indirectness online. But we all have to do what we have to do to protect ourselves and you know our personal space and different things. And if people feel like that's the means in which we should communicate, then by all means do what you feel led to do. But for me, it's easier to be able to gain clarity from a person, um, based on direct conversation, based on direct experience. Even if I don't agree with a person, I'm never going to just completely write them off or crap on them or just speak bad things about them. And I just feel like, uh, it's extremely easy for people to do that online. Like if their favorite artist or their favorite actor or whoever says something, happens to speak against something or stand against something, everybody who follows and supports that person, they're just going to believe whatever that they say. Um, and so the whole online stuff has been hard because uh, where I felt like I was coming from, my lack of influence. But I understand that even with the small amount of numbers that I have, that I do have a voice. And so, I'm grateful for that. And that's what really keeps me going, understanding that there is people out there that, um, if they're not learning from me, they're pulling for me in my situation or looking at certain things and, just wanting God to bless me and, come through for me. And I appreciate those people. But with all this being said, going back to the initial point of this video, we have to understand the importance of our words and what they do to affect different things around us. And if we're not going to take accountability now in this life, and like I said, if God tells me to do something, I can apologize. Partly because we don't want certain things to follow you after this life. And so, um, and I believe that wherever you want somebody else to go with something is a step that you should be willing to take. Jesus said if a person asks you to walk a mile with them, you go 2 miles. And so if a person is asking you to do something, you should be able to take that extra step as a believer, proving that you're a believer. And, I just want to exhibit more of the fruit of the Spirit. And hopefully the church end up doing better with that as well. But, we all got our trials and we're all going to have our different learning curves. But, we also have to understand the power of our words and the influence we have. And the directness and indirectness behind the things that we say. So let's all be accountable for the things that we say and do. Peace.